How's it going, my glorious Rascallion Resonators? The name's FOXSOL. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to some more beautiful WutheringWaves. I hope that each and every one of you is having a great day wherever you're at. Today's video, as you can tell from the screen, we have ZheZhi, and we're going to be taking a quick showcase look at the character, give you a complete, basic understanding how the character works, what we should be focusing on. This is not to be considered a guide video. We'll be working on those later throughout the weekend because we're going to be testing out multiple builds and stuff like that in those videos and streaming while we're doing that. So I'm just going to say, how about you take a seat, grab something to drink, relax, the bar is open, and let's talk about some ZheZhi. All right, let's talk about the waifu that's going to get you in trouble, fool. ZheZhi. ZheZhi is a character that I am going to put like this. She is a sub DPS unit that I would classify her as, that has the potential of also being a main DPS unit. From everything I looked at so far, you could do the same thing like Changli. Changli is a sub DPS unit at main heart, but she has the potential of being a DPS, and that's what I did with Changli. I made her DPS. With ZheZhi, I'm going to leave her on my side as a sub DPS, but for you guys out there, when we're going to talk about guides and everything else in the future, and you're looking at maybe trying to make her your main DPS, there is possibilities there that you can do. So we'll discuss that in future videos. But with ZheZhi, I'm going to put it this way. Few key elements that you need to realize about her is, number one, this is a basic attack damage focused character. So meaning that unlike other characters that you would play with, that, is focusing majority on heavy attacks, skills, skill damage, liberation damage, heavy attack damage, and so forth. This one right here is going to focus primarily on basic attack damage and glacial damage, which all gets converted into basic attack damage. We'll get into that. She helps to provide, with her outro skills and everything, glacial damage amplification. She also helps provide resonant skill damage amplification, and we'll get more into that. And depending on how soon you get her built up with her Forte Tree and everything else, she will also help provide the ultimate damage, which is resonant liberation energy regen for other units, and we'll break all that down. So classification, sub DPS, very decent, very aesthetic looking character, and like I said, she's the waifu that pretty much is going to get you in trouble, fool. So let's go ahead and break down the tutorial first, and then we'll get into the weapon segment, we'll get into the Forte Tree, we'll get into the resonant chain, and then we'll get into echoes afterwards, after we do the tutorial. All right, let's get into the tutorial phase of ZheZhi. And the reason why I add these into my showcase, just in case you're wondering, is because I feel like this is a better way of showcasing just a character by itself with no other team members, and showcase, the moveset a lot easier. So like we have our standard, 3-hit attack, boom, boom, boom. And even then I completely mess it up. There we go. Just keep mashing it. That's all you gotta do. Same thing, you can do it in the air. You can hold it down for heavy. Very basic, simple gameplay. So you should be already familiar with this. If you play a lot of Jinshi, you play a lot of GN, stuff like this, these are all your basic skills. All right, this is where we're going to get into combos. This is ZheZhi's combos right here. When the Forte gauge is full, we're going to use the resonant skill and then basic attack damage to summon basically 3 imprints. And these 3 imprints that's going to be summoned is really actually pretty cool for this character. This what makes the character unique in its own right. It's pretty much, she's got the ability to teleport. And it's pretty pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty good. As you can see, it does damage. There's multiple ways of handling this, and we're gonna go ahead and do this. You can hold it. Just like that. We can tap, hold, and tap. I think actually that this is actually fun. It's kind of like playing with the grappling hook in a sense. I call it teleport, but it's like playing Spider-Man. It's like you're going to summon 3 different cranes right here, and then like Spider-Man, you're going to go boom, 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 and it's kind of like a Dragon Ball Z feel to it in a sense as well. I don't know how to best explain this. It's just really... I just messed it all up, huh? Yep. Let's do it again. There we go. Ta-da! I think that's actually really cool. I think that is actually a very cool moveset. And then with her resonant, you're not going to actually see it here in the tutorial most likely, but her alt is pretty much where she summons these inklet spirits to help assist in combat. You can switch over to another teammate, and they're just going to be there, and they're going to keep rotating. So think of Mortifi, right? With his alt that allows you to do extra heavy attack damage and fusion damage on top. It's basically the same concept as his alt. It's just better.
Art unveiled.
I'll actually showcase it here really quickly outside that fact. We'll go ahead and get into a true battle real quick, so that way you can see. Yeah, like this right here, I think is actually really fun gameplay. Now let's actually see the alt real quick. See? So while you're attacking, you're gonna have these inklet spirits that's gonna come out and attack at the same time. Then they add, I believe it's glacial damage as well as basic attack damage. We'll take a look here really quickly, but this is to give you guys a key understanding, a key look at the different style gameplay that she does provide, and it's pretty good. It's pretty decent. Is it summon worthy? Is she summon worthy? Well, we'll get into that in my ending thoughts, but for what it is right now, I gotta say the unit is pretty flashy. I'll put it that way. Alrighty. So let's go ahead, let's go back and let's discuss weapons, resonant chain, and all this other good stuff here next. All right, so we're going to discuss ZheZhi's signature weapon, the Rhyme Drape Sprouts. It is an attack and crit damage main stat focused weapon. And as you can see, we have it at level 90, where the attack's at 500, crit damage is at 72%. And this weapon itself has elements of increasing the attack while on the field and granting a lot of attack damage, basic attack damage bonuses. If you read right here from looking at rank 1 of the weapon, and this only increases when you go further in, but Panorama increases the attack by 12%. While the wielder is on the field, using resonant skills grants a 12% basic attack damage bonus, stacking up to 3 times for 6 seconds. And 3 stacks or above while casting Ultra skill will consume all the stacks of this effect and grant the wielder 52% basic attack damage bonus for 27 seconds. Effective when the wielder is off the field. I think this weapon is actually a really decent weapon that, you know, even for her signature weapon, that this could be translated to others. You know, like Baichi could be using the weapon, you know, Yinli could use the weapon. There would be other units in the game that could see a benefit from this weapon. That's all I'm going to say on that. I think it's actually, from looking at it from being a crit damage and attack based weapon, and with its, you know, its ranking skills here, its effects, I think it's a great weapon. I think for what it is a very, very good, decent weapon. Alrighty, let's go ahead and let's move on to the next part, which is the Forte Tree. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the Forte Tree here, and we're going to start off with the outro skill, because this is the main skill that is truly going to help benefit your other resonators on your team, whether it's from, you know, buffing them up from their resonance skill damage or their element damages, or even in general with other things. This is what we always should focus on first. And with ZheZhi, carve and draw. When the incoming resonator has their glacial will have their glacial damage amplified by 20% and their resonance skill damage amplified by 25% for 14 seconds or until they're switched out, making her a great sub DPS for your main glacial DPS type characters. So like Yinlin to Kao, like Changli to Encore. You could say in this case scenario, ZheZhi would work really well with characters like Lin Yang as a DPS. We'll get more into team composition talks later, but that is the basic idea premise of what the sub DPS character is. It's almost future proofing it for later on. Looking at the Forte circuits chain here first, we can see that, you know, ZheZhi may summon imprints, affiliation, manifestation, or heavy attack conjuring. Up to one if each imprint left, middle, and right can exist at the same exact time, lasting for 15 seconds. So that little teleporting maneuvering that you saw in the tutorial, that lasts for 15 seconds on the field. So you have 15 seconds to switch between them. Cool. Heavy attack conjuring, the 5 moves below consume stamina to perform the conjuring to attack a target dealing glacial damage. Hold the normal attack button shortly after the basic attack stage 3. Press the normal attack button shortly after casting resonant skill manifestation. Hold normal attack button shortly after casting resonant skill stroke of genius or resonant skill creation zenith. Hold the normal attack button while in midair, blah 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 blah, all this. If ZheZhi has at least 30 of the afflictions, she can perform any of these and consume 30 afflictions to summon a fantastic imprint in the middle. Beautiful. Wow. Awesome. Resonant skill stroke of genius. When a imprint is nearby, the resonant skill is replaced with stroke of genius, which can be cast while in midair. And when it is cast, ZheZhi will move to the location of the imprint, remove it, and summon the Ivory Herald to attack the target, dealing glacial damage, which will be considered as basic attack damage. This is to be understood that what we're going to be looking for is that almost everything, just like Changli and other characters, we're going to be seeing things like this that's going to be considering as basic attack damage rather than just glacial damage. Refresh the mid-air dodge attempts and the target, the imprint in mid-air, gain 1 stack of Painter's Delight, lasted for 8 seconds, stacking up to 2 times. And again, with resonant skill creation zenith, when an imprint is nearby, there's 2 stack of the Painter's Delight. Stroke of Genius is replaced with Creator Zenith, which can be cast in the air. And when it's cast, she will lose all stacks of the Painter's Delight. Move to the location of the imprint, remove it. Summon Ivory Herald to attack the target, dealing greater glacial damage, which will be considered as basic attack damage. Additionally, increasing the basic attack damage by 18% for the next 25 seconds. Excuse me. Refreshing the mid-air dodge attempts if, you know, and refresh the mid-air dodge attempt if the target fantastic imprint is in mid-air. What to do? So, Afflictious, ZheZhi can hold up to 90 Afflictious, whatever you call it. Normal attack grants on hit. Cast intro also granted. That's your Forte skill. I already know that's the little bars above your health. But when we build this up, we are going to get different things like, you know, the touch right here, which is casting resonant skill stroke of genius or resonant skill creation. Our attack will increase by 6% for the next 27 seconds, and this can stack up to 3 times. Building up even more, along with our outro skill, what it's already providing for us, we're going to have it to where after outro skill is cast, it will help to restore 15 resonant energy to the incoming resonator. That's a pretty big deal. So that right there is going to help straight up build up an alt for another character. So like how I'm running right now, with Cheng-Li. Cheng-Li has pretty much, I think it's a 110% energy regen value right now, and with this being added on to it, this just makes it to where as soon as we do the ultra skill, Cheng-Li is going to get 15 resonator energy really fast, and it's going to help just build up that alt skill real fast. Good, awesome, amazing. Looking at resonant skill, manifestation, it deals glacial damage, and if the affliction is no less than 60, consumes 60, it'll summon imprints left, imprints right, tap the button on the ground to summon the imprints on the ground, hold the button on the ground, or tap the button in midair to summon them in the air. So the little imprints that you're going to be swinging back and forth to like fucking Spider-Man, the idea here is that if you tap it while on the ground, they'll be on the ground. If you hold the button, they'll go on the ground. Or if you're already in the air and you tap the button to summon them, they will go ahead and be placed in the air. Okay? And pretty good. I actually do like it. Let's move on next to, you know, Resonant Liberation. Resonant Liberation. This is the other side of things of her kit that I actually think is pretty damn cool. Summoning Inklet spirits to assist can be cast in midair. So these little guys, when the active resonator deals damage, an Inklet spirit will summon and perform coordinated attack dealing glacial damage. This will be considered basic attack damage and will last for 3 seconds. For 3 seconds, dealing damage. 1 Inklet spirit is summoned per second. This effect can be triggered once per second, dealing damage by an Inklet spirit that does not trigger this effect. Upon 1 Inklet spirit can be summoned every second, up to 21 in total. This effect lasts for 30 seconds or until the max Inklet spirits are summoned. Holy crap. This isn't broken, but this is pretty damn good. And I think that if you have tuned echoes that is based around glacial damage as well as, you know, basic attack damage, that you can really make this pop off. And I'm going to be working on different builds around this scenario. Looking at the intro skill, which I need to actually go ahead and level it up real quick. Bam. And I need to go get some more of these. We're going to attack the target dealing glacial damage. And the last one being normal attack, basic attack, heavy attack, mid-air attack. It's all your same thing. Even dodge counter, all the same thing. It uses basic attack damage. It consumes stamina, and it all deals glacial damage. So nothing too big. This is just your standard normal attacks. Looking at the tree as well, we'll be able to increase our crit rate moving upwards, increase our attack damage moving upwards on the following 2 chains. Alrighty, we just got through all of that. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the resonator chain. And with the resonator chain, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to put it this way. Brushworks finish. Casting resonant skill creation restores 15 resonant energy and will increase the crit rate by 10% for the next 27 seconds. Vivid strokes. Max Inkling spirit summoned by resonant liberation will be increased by 6. Reflections grace. Casting resonant skill manifestation. Resonant skill strokes of genius or zenith will increase the attack for 15% for 27 seconds and stacking up to 3 times. Going to summon 4, Hue Spectrum, casting Resonance Liberation Living Canvas, increase the attack of resonators on the team by 20% for 30 seconds, which is pretty damn good for also. Composition clue: for every 3 Inkling spirits summoned by Resonant Liberation Living Canvas, 1 extra Inkling spirit is summoned to perform a coordinated attack dealing damage equal to 140% of the Inkling spirit's damage, considered as basic attack damage. This damage is dealt will not further summon this damage that will not further summon Inkling spirit. That's pretty decent. I think that's actually pretty good. So we get to summon 1 extra Inkling spirit after everything's done, and we get basically an attack damage of an extra 140%. That's pretty damn good. And her final summon, Infinite Legacy, casting Resonance Skills Strokes of Genius, Resonance Skills Creation Zenith, summons an extra Ivory Herald that deals damage equal to 120% of the Resonance Skills Strokes of Genius damage considered as basic attack damage. That is your Resonance chain. I'm going to save my thoughts about everything on this towards the end of the video, but this is just to go ahead and give you a good idea about everything. We're going to go ahead and move on to the last two topics here, which is going to be echo building and then team composition ideas for you guys. All right, now we're going to be talking about echoes. Echoes, fucking echoes. And I'm going to put it this way. There is going to be multiple echo routes that you're going to be able to build for her. Right now, I'm personally going to be testing Moonlit Clouds, but Glacio, Moonlit Clouds, even Lingering Tunes could be viable options for her. I do believe. I'm testing right now the build for pretty much Moonlit myself right now, and the reason being is that I want, since she's going to be a sub DPS, and I'm not going to be putting her with really many other DPS characters, probably like you can see right now we have her with the Changli team with her outro skill as it is. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing Moonlit Clouds is that with her outro skill as it is, that increases, you know, the glacial damage, the resonance skill damage. The glacial damage ain't going to help me none unless I have a glacial DPS, and right now I don't have a glacial DPS. So characters like ZheZhi, Changli that I'm going to be looking at using her on, I'm using Moonlit Clouds for two purposes. I'm using it to make sure that we have energy regen, so that way we can get our ult keep going on and on and on, over and over and over, as well as to make sure that when we're using an outro skill, the attack of our next resonator that comes in, which would be Changli, ZheZhi, GN, whoever, will get a 22.5% increase on their attack for the next 15 seconds. These echoes I got right now are tuned to be worthless right now because there is nothing in here about basic attack damage, and how I would have to spend quite some time going but pretty much grinding out echoes. And I plan to do that over the weekend in order to try to build up a true build with the Moonlit Clouds for a guide. But like I said, you can look at straight up the Freezing Frost echoes like this. You could do a 4-3-3-1-1 with the Freezing Frost. You can look at, you know, even Lingering Tunes if you're trying to maybe, you know, boost her attack damage and make her more of a DPS, which could be a possibility. This looks like it could help be a benefit and work in that direction. Or even as a sub DPS, you know, you can use the Moonlit Clouds, and there's two ways of using Moonlit Clouds. We could do the Moonlit Clouds of a 4-3-3-1-1, which some people are going to say that is the best route to go, which I'm going to be testing all this. We could even go into the case scenario to where we're going to go ahead and try out even 4-4-1-1-1. And I'm putting everything, if I'm going to do anything, straight up into attack, basic damage, because I'm going to want her to do damage. I'm going to want her to do as much damage as possible on the field, but I'm going to want to make sure I can swap her out. So she has the, you know, the kinetic, I forgot how you pronounce it, but the outro skill, the Contraro efficiency behind her. I want to make sure that we are consistently doing damage and doing outro skills to our other characters on our team. So that is the idea. I'm thinking Moonlit Clouds is probably going to be the best way for me personally on using her. But like I said, we'll test Glacio. We'll test out the other types of echoes. I'm just saying that there is 3 types that I could see that would work pretty decent on her. And it's to compare to see which one would be the more beneficial and better route to go. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get into team compositions of my outline of ideas of what you could be doing with the characters and explain why. And this part is probably going to be the most headache that I'm going to have. Alrighty. Alrighty, now we're getting into team composition, and what I ended up doing is I took all of my slots here to go ahead and basically put together different teams to showcase what I think could work and what we're going to be testing through streaming and through everything else on the channel on different guides. The first team that I put together is actually a team that I really wanted ZheZhi to work with. When we first read, you know, what was originally the thought pattern behind the outro skill, I said, oh my God, when I saw 44% resonant skill amplification, I said, this is going to be a beautiful character for ZheZhi. This is going to make ZheZhi's, mwah, it's going to be a great, great appeal. Well, that didn't happen. We got, as you guys all know, we got ourselves only a 25% skill, resonant skill application. This does work though. This team does work. And the reason why is with basically ZheZhi acting almost like a Mortifi with her alt, while we switch back and forth with characters and we switch back to ZheZhi, it's helping to build the incandescence. Okay, and the incandescence is it's building up fast enough. It's working really well. And when we switch out with our ultra skill, we do get an additional 25% amplification to ZheZhi's resonant skill. So she doesn't exactly nuke the way I want her to nuke, but she still nukes. And it works out really well. This is the primary team that I really am going to be trying to work with. But there is some other teams that is seemingly looking a little bit better. I could tell you that right now, this is a team that I've been working with right now by removing my Tao Chi, who was normally on this team right here to help with Chang Li. ZheZhi is replaced. ZheZhi has worked really well with this team. Again, helping with the liberation alt energy regen and everything else onto Chang Li, helping with the resonant skill amplification for Chang Li. ZheZhi's working a really, really well as a good sub DPS for Chang Li as well. And with Bai Chi, there seems to be a harmony here between the two of them, because switching between all three of these characters in a good rotation, even with Bai Chi getting, you know, the glacial damage increase, I've seen it to where now, because of that, my Bai Chi, if necessary, instead of switching resonant skill damage upgrade to Chang Li, switching it over to Bai Chi, our healing goes up a good 1500, another 1500. We were healing like at like 4,000, and it went up to like 5,800. So this team does work. It's not too optimal, but it really does work. There is some harmony in here. Main idea of what this team probably should be is the following: is Lin Yang being, you know, the main DPS on this team, because everything about him is about glacial damage and basic attack damage. So ZheZhi would be doing her best to, you know, fill that gap, to just like Sandoval was, to make sure that we're benefiting our boy here, Lin Yang. So a full glacial team like this could be a good possibility. Now, I'll say it like this: I don't use Lin Yang anymore. I'm going to try to use him. I'm going to try to build him for this team, but I don't really use him that much. I don't see the point. But I'm more interested in the next following two ideas. And the next two following ideas is basically the same team. Okay? But looking at ZheZhi as the main DPS, and looking at with this team, I think this team is a complete harmonizing, well-rounded, very decent team. Because everybody here, are being both basically two sub DPSs working together as one DPS. We have Carve and Draw, that's going to amplify glacial damage, right? And resonant skill damage, which will work on Shanwa. And then we have Shanwa that when she does her outro skill back to ZheZhi, she's going to help again amplify the basic attack damage of her for 38% for the next 14 seconds. And I think that this team in general, if built correctly, would be a team that does not have a true main DPS. It has two sub DPSs that is going to work really well together to make one DPS. Bai Chi just comes in here and she works as well, very well, and harmonizes very well. And this would probably be the glacial team that I would actually run. It's three characters that I like. They are very well rounded together. and they harmonize very, very well. So you could tell me down below what your thought pattern is on what teams that you're going with. This is a team that I think is what I'm going to end up actually building and working with. But since resource limitations, we're probably going to work with either Changli team or we're going to work with the ZheZhi team at the time period until we can build up this team to the full degree that we need it at in order to make it viable and make it work truly. Basically, I need to get ZheZhi and I need to get Shanhua here both at level 90. And I need to make sure that their weapons, their skills, everything is all up to date and ready to go, because I stopped building Virgil here and I stopped really caring about this right here when Changli came. So we need to work and focus on that if that's the case. But yeah, tell me what y'all thoughts is down below in the comment section of what your team, what your echo so far, and all that good stuff. And because I do want to hear about it. I do want to get other thought patterns in here, not just my own, but this is what I'm looking at for the showcase. And we'll get more into this future-wise with guides. So with all of this being done, we're going to go ahead and switch to the last section, which is my overall thoughts about ZheZhi. We're going to do a little bit of gameplay here, and we're going to go through my overall final thoughts on ZheZhi, what I think about her, and we'll end this video and we'll discuss, I mean, before we end the video, we'll discuss, you know, what future plans there is and all that good stuff. So thank you for staying tuned for as long as you have. All right, let's get into closing arguments in this video, because we're going way past the limit of what I want to be at on this video, so I apologize. But if you stuck around and you watched this entire video, you're a fucking Chad, seriously. My closing thoughts on ZheZhi, to be 100% honest, I think the character is a very decent character. I think the character is really nice, very unique in her own elements, but I don't think the unit itself is a necessary unit for present time. I'll be 100% honest that you're better off spending your resources on your current teams. Now, if you're the type of person like myself or whatever, that you're looking at the character for future proofing because you know there's going to be another glacial DPS, stuff like this, at least getting 1 or 2 copies of her would be somewhat of a good choice. Okay, let's say in all honesty you're working with ZheZhi and you don't have Tao Chi or for some reason, or you're looking for someone a little bit faster than Tao Chi and does a little bit better. It's a good budget unit to help lift up your resonance skill damage, okay, and works and will work. But necessarily, is she like really worth summoning? No, she's not. I would suggest that, you know what, this would be a skippable unit at this point in time, especially if you're looking at future characters like Scar and stuff like this that will be coming out. Storekeeper or something, if you're more intrigued with that, she's a unit yet you could skip and you could look at. But each their own. You do what you want to do. I just wanted to give a little bit of a showcase with her, even though the little bit of showcase actually went a little bit higher than I wanted it to be, and just break down a couple of different things. So we're at the end of the video, and all I'm going to say, guys, is leave comments down below of what you think about ZheZhi. Did you summon for her? Did you not summon for her? Did you win the 50-50? Did you lose the 50-50? All that good stuff. What type of builds are you looking at with her? What type of team compositions you're looking at with her? Look, whether you believe it or not, I respond to every single comment I possibly can on my channel. Whether it's criticism, whether it is, you know, feedback, constructive, non-constructive, I'll respond to my haters, bro. Doesn't matter. Because you know what? We all different people, and I think every one of us deserves some kind of, you know, recognition. So I do want to hear from you guys. So don't think I don't read those comments. And it does help with the algorithm too, I won't lie. Like the video, dislike the video, doesn't matter. All that good stuff. All I want to say is just keep it classy, keep it jazzy. I'll catch you on the flip side, and I look forward to each and every one of your comments down below. Have a good day. Take it easy. Bye-bye.